In this whole process, we all really came into it not having any expectations. I mean, I didn't even have an expectation of how the track would sound. Like, I really didn't want to put that pressure on myself and on the band.
And I thought it was mine.
This ensemble almost exclusively has its experience playing live. Everything they know is how do we all get together, all play, song starts, I'm doing this stuff, and it ends, I'm doing this other stuff. And I think the day of recording was trying to figure out what is what the core elements of that song were, and what all of the icing on the cake was.
There were like technical challenges at the beginning of the day with how we were gonna approach starting the song, what elements were gonna work, what weren't gonna work. And it was just like constant excitement throughout the entire day because everyone was on board to be like, I don't think this song is gonna go normally. So like, let's figure out what that means.
I really appreciated that everyone came into this so open-mindedly. I record so much on the computer at home, either privately or working with Adan, that even just being in a studio and building a song from the ground up like this is totally new for us. So we were really looking at this as an opportunity to get into a studio and work together. However the process unfolded, like we would go with it. My name is Nandi Plunkett. I lead a band called Waif, and we're here recording a song called Every Animal for an episode of Shaken Theory. So on this session, I had Adan Carlo playing bass originally, but playing a lot of guitar, and Baytas playing drums and electronic percussion.
Are you guys ready? They can sort of run through a bit?
Yeah, I kind of want to hear more of the drums. Just like you playing a beat.
Yeah.
Whatever the beat for the song is, yeah.
If you could, then we'll be ready, I think.
Yeah, then I think I'm good.
Robin just joined the band in a live capacity in the fall, so I had never recorded with him before. I did have some apprehension about having this be our first studio experience together, but I also trust him so much as a collaborator and as a musical mind. So I felt like confident and also just really curious to see what would come out of this, especially not having a specific sense of what I wanted the drums to be.
Nice, so all of you have individual like headphone mixes? All your headphone mixes are individual, so if you need up or down, just let me know.
Okay, cool.
Don't make yourself uncomfortable with a crazy headphone mix.
Yeah.
So like I always like walk out here and hear the headphones and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like I was not mad at you.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
Okay, cool, thanks.
It seemed like the day would start out kind of the same as a lot of the other Shaken Theories have started out, where the band would set up and there would be drums, bass, scratch keys, and scratch vocals. And we tried that, but it kind of seemed like that wasn't actually what needed to happen.
I'll keep making cups of tea.
One of my fears or kind of curiosities about going into this process was just like, how are we gonna do this? Because we work like so much in the computer and we don't do like basic tracking. With the drum sounds, normally I would record it probably MIDI. I play all my drum programming on a keyboard, so like I play it like a piano player, and then I'll go in and I'll change out snare sounds or I'll edit samples. So getting to the drums was like, how are we even gonna get the sounds that we want?
I think at that point in the day and in the project, we were still searching for what the core elements of the song were. Adan began the day holding his bass, and he really wasn't playing bass line type stuff. He started by like playing a bass part that sounded much more like the guitar stuff that I was expecting him to do from the demo. That was one very early example of something that was more icing on the cake and really not a core element, which is deceptive, right? Because a bass is a core element almost always and almost exclusively.
I don't want this section to get like too like heavy rock band. Like right now it's like reading to me like really distorted bass and like the cymbals. It's just like, it's good. Well, it's just like, it's not totally the vibe that I'm imagining.
Yeah, so then maybe there's no like bass there at all.
That's what I'm thinking, or like...
Cool. And then we just like...
Yeah,
figure
because
out
it's about the keyboard at the beginning, like through most of it, and
Yeah.
that's good. That's good to figure out. And Robin, what you're doing in general is a combination of drum sounds and chords.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like a way to integrate them seamlessly, you know?
It started out him sort of performing electronic sounds and acoustic sounds together, like you would if you were sort of improvising something on stage. But as time went along, we found ourselves more systematically separating out the different components of that drum track. We could do like a basic take where it's the core of it is all electronic, and then you could overdub this stuff. So after shuffling around how we were going to do what we were doing, it was clearer that the whole thing revolved around this pulsing keyboard part and her vocal. It seems like the core of it could be that synth and an electronic drum beat.
Yeah.
That might be the way to go, and then it easily builds from there.
Totally. That's like, that is how we work normally.
And then in terms of that, you know, that bass sound.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just talking about like scrapping bass guitar and doing what I'm doing, but like on a guitar.
Yeah.
And then just having the bass
More of that
information getting taken care of by a synthesizer.
In this setting, suggesting that, let's throw the bass out, that was exciting. We only recently started putting guitar on any Half-Wave songs, and he's really an incredible guitar player. So for him and for me, when the opportunity presented itself for him to focus more on guitar in this song, we were already of that mindset of like, let's really be flexible and loose and let magic happen and let the opportunities arise as they will.
If we do it with a mini log to start, might make sense as the song goes along to add that other chord.
I like
You
that.
know?
I do want to do that. I think layering it would be cool.
Yeah.
That could just be like the source of the bass information.
It's like I could start with the mini log, and then when you were coming in with the bass, that's when it would come in with that. Yeah. I think that building it this way that you're talking about will enable us to be a little bit more like, I don't know, craft it a little bit more.
I was very excited by the way we started the day. It was a totally different way to go about it. I feel like it was exactly what the song needed. And like, of course, it's also an exciting challenge to do anything different from how you're used to. We ended up figuring out that we could just have Nandi perform the MIDI into Pro Tools. I could timeline that, and then we could send that to the synth. Because it was supposed to be a very aligned, gridded part that then had all these like flourishes happening in the synth. So we just had her perform the MIDI, aligned that, ran that MIDI back out to the synth and recorded that, and that was like our foundation to start from. And then from there, we moved on to laying down like a core kick and snare rhythm, which was like the backbone for everything, almost like another metronome. The cool thing was the snare, Brian had put like a gong on top of it, which I'd never even thought to do before.
In the basic track, he's playing the kick drum and hitting that gong on his snare with a mallet, and it sounds cool. It sounds crazy, and it doesn't sound like an acoustic instrument, but it actually is. Immediately after, we had Nandi play a synth bass. She played the Korg MS-10, sort of on the really most transparent waveform that we could, so that the bass sound would never be overly presenting itself. Instead, there would just be enough transparent low end sort of moving the speakers. That kick and snare track, the keyboard track, and Nandi's walking synth bass, that was where we first started hearing, okay, these are foundational elements. This is the basic track being built.
Robin brought in his two drums with mesh heads on them and a sensory percussion triggering system. He kind of added those in and like created a drum set that was a mix of both acoustic drums and the triggered drums. What that enabled us to do is throughout the day, it was just kind of all one big thing that he could go back and forth between.
Right now I'm just doing all electronic.
Cool. Okay. How many sounds are combined in a stereo pair if we do that?
Let me see. A lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Then maybe what we should try to do is, you do it,
Yeah.
we'll get the beat, and then we'll quantize it in there to be on the grid.
Okay.
There's definitely a strong opinion that people have about gridding music. They feel like gridding these performances takes the life out of it. But I think what excites me the most is like you grid those elements because that's what works for them. And then you have like human performances on top of that. So like the sensory percussion system is so interesting to me. It makes it so that you can perform with drumsticks on a drum head. This is a human like deciding in real time, oh, I'll add this sound, and they just hit a little bit harder, hit in the right zone of the drum. It just seems like such a musical approach to adding in all those types of glitchy sounds.
I really find myself gravitating more towards creating sounds that are a question mark about how they're made. Yes, electronics can be like inherently removed from the human, but it doesn't have to be so polarizing between like the human and the machine. Like it's in fact just a blended world, and it's all supporting the emotion and meaning of the song, hopefully.
Yeah.
Do a 4-bar loop?
Yeah, 4-bar.
Okay.
Cool.
And I'll just make sure that loop is.
That'd be great.
I mean, I like it kind of like randomized, but at the same time, it's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. It's not like, you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Sometimes I like when it's just like, I don't know when it's gonna happen.
Right, you could do like a 5-bar loop.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
And
exactly.
then
saying,
the
yeah,
thing will
in a
keep
different
migrating
place.
through the
That's funny
song.
you said
Yeah.
that. I was literally just thinking.
That's
Yeah,
what I thought you were
do a
doing.
5th bar before it.
I was
yeah.
hearing it that way.
Because that'll make it really sound randomized.
Right.
Let's do that.
And then we can set up for Rhodes. Would that be the next thing, logically?
Yeah.
What's magical about a Rhodes is it maintains its integrity, even with lots of stuff piled on top of it. We really wanted to do stuff to take the Rhodes sound a little more towards something kind of psychedelic. So we just sort of put a whole string of effects in line, and then I kind of manipulated them a little bit as things went along.
It's all those kinds of things that just add like this non-linearity to it. Your brain is kind of just like, okay, it's not just a Rhodes being played the entire time. There are things like moving around in there.
If it makes me do that, then it's
Yeah.
good. If I go, aw, that's
Yeah.
always when I know it's like a gut reaction. It's a good sound.
Yeah, yeah.
The song, Every Animal, was one that I started right after my grandmother passed away. It was at this time when I was feeling very close to her and very inspired by her and her life, and it was really hard when we lost her. I was living with my bandmates in this house in Chatham, New York. That's where we recorded the new record, and we had this summer rental that was on a pond, and there was a lot of wildlife. Right after she passed, I was outside and walked down to the pond as I did every day and was just looking for signs of her. I was looking at the birds and the fox and the groundhogs and just thinking that any sign that I was given was her, just letting me know that she was still around and that I still had a piece of her. So these rituals, these daily tasks are ways that we can honor people who have left us. That was the impetus for the song and the idea of taking up their rituals and putting parts of ourselves into that.
I'll keep making cups of tea.
She lived in England for like 50 years, and a big part of my going to stay with her was always tea time was very important. You know, having to carry on these rituals, I think that's our natural inclination when we lose someone that we care about, is just to start receiving them in other ways and then looking for signs from the greater world to bring us comfort.
I'll see you in every animal.
Cool.
It's great.
Cool.
Cool.
It sounds
great.
awesome.
Great.
It sounds very good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm picturing some like chorally vocals at the end that ah, just like a choir, like kind of
Nice.
sound.
Nice.
I think it'll be really cool.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's try another pass.
Cool.
When a song is being sort of so like experimentally crafted, one of the smartest things I've found time and time again is just to do vocals early in the process. Just contextualizes all parts from that point forward.
I'll keep making cups of tea.
Cool.
And so we knew by the time we finished the roads that we had exactly enough and not too much, not too little for her to be able to sing to.
All right, yeah, let's just try it.
Okay.
Are you good?
I'm good.
Are they good?
Are you good? You good?
Here we go.
Cool. Everyone's good.
Having people listen to my voice in that recorded setting and go through like comping is like, oh, like nails on a chalkboard for me. Like it's so scary.
I caught a life and I thought it was mine.
That was definitely the part of yesterday that I was most nervous about. But again, that was partially why I wanted to do this experience, because I think when you're in that space of extreme vulnerability, that's where the most learning and growth happens.
Keep it for me.
I think creating a space for that vulnerability is a powerful tool, and it's such a privilege to be in a position where people are actually listening to what I'm writing. But it does come with this other side of it. I feel like I have been in this space recently of feeling like I don't have control over certain aspects of what I'm doing.
Cups of tea.
Wanting it to be this like transparent give and take between artist and listener, but recognizing that everything gets refracted through this terrifying world of social media and the industry. And I've just been learning a lot of lessons about that recently, hard lessons.
Will I ever get used to this? Don't think I'll ever get used to this.
That's what that line is referring to. It's just recognizing that there are some challenging aspects to the life that I'm creating for myself, and I have to absorb that and accept it and receive it, you know, along with all the wonderful joys that come with being a professional musician.
I go to sleep to find you in my head.
Emotional transparency is a powerful tool for standing closer together as like just basic human beings.
I won't pretend I know where you've been.
If people can hear your music and feel more in tune with their feelings, it leads to greater compassion. And when we operate from a place of compassion, we ultimately are enacting positive change. I want to create opportunities for people to learn, just as I'm also trying to learn about how I can better be in the world in a way that is compassionate and understanding towards people who are not the same as me.
That's great.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And we have like
Yeah.
4 of those
Yeah, we got a
doubles,
couple
so we really have a
hidden
lot we can
ones.
choose from. After Nandi's vocal, we recorded the acoustic drums. That sounds good, actually. The great thing is that Robin played them just as sort of like punchy and tight as their electronic counterparts.
I've wanted to for a long time work on something like this where there is a drum set, but there's also all this like percussion stuff happening that like isn't just a tambourine or a shaker. I don't know, it creates this like different kind of world. Like it's a different kind of universe that this song exists in now.
Yeah, we can put them in anytime. I think we kind of want to like fade it in, yeah.
It's just kind of him playing the chords to the song with a really fuzzed out sound. And we just kind of fade that up, so it's like this giant wave of fuzz that's like slowly approaching. That fuzz wave crests over, and then he started doing volume pedal swells.
Is he doing that fade?
Yeah. Should I have not do that?
No, it's really good.
Yeah, I thought it was beautiful.
I like couldn't believe how well he was pulling it off.
Oh, he's coming back.
It's nice.
You know, if you really think about it, all we had instrumentally up till that point was very transparent, placid, round sounds. A guitar is very cutting, so we had a big, wide open space for guitar-y textures.
He had this pedal called a count to 5, which is, I believe, just like a randomized sampler, and you can never get the same sound out of it twice, which is like, sign me up.
Rarely in an electronic song do you have an electric guitar come in and have it not be a little tough to like get it to fit in as rigidly and tightly as, say, the electronic counterparts are. And yet it did fit in right away, and it sounds so like human and nice. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful. Whoa. Really, really nice, Adan.
Early on, we thought just the single bass notes on the acoustic piano would add really nicely to things.
Yeah, if it was like sustained chords.
What I was hoping.
So maybe just like doubling the Rhodes chords, but we'll just flip those.
Without all the extra rhythm.
Right, exactly. Just.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that might be cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down for that, and I do want to get the little like vocal choir
We'll
thing.
Get that.
But that's gonna be really fast because
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
You've got an otherwise very surrealized landscape. All of a sudden, like, an acoustic piano comes in, and even mixed down low, you just feel something familiar enter the picture. You both identify with that sound, and you become ever aware of like how surrealized the landscape actually is.
Go to sleep to find you in my head.
It's like a marriage of two like completely different worlds, and I think the two actually play off of each other very well. The more I think about it, the more I think that like this band is incredible, not just because of their raw musical talent, but the fact that they've like found these ways to be expressive and take these sounds that are like crazy and unnatural and performing them maybe more naturally than you could perform other real instruments.
When you have musicians that are that good, the stuff that is really important is that they like each other and they like working with each other and they love what they can personally bring to a project together. I think that all musicians and all artists are in a better place when they know how to collaborate with other people. And real great collaborations are ones where somebody stops thinking in the abstract about the ideas and the parts, and they start thinking more in the abstract of their relationship with the other collaborators.
Recognizing that I can't do this alone and that I don't want to do this alone has been really powerful for me, and I think finding those people that you can go to those deep places with is one of the best experiences. It's been really rewarding to work on it with some of my closest friends and be able to get even closer to them through the process of taking apart these songs and putting them back together again. Continuing to explore my emotional perception of the world, I hope will in turn inspire others to do the same. And from that open place, from that place of their own vulnerability, do good in the world.
Weathervane's Shaking Through series exists to support self-expression through the creative process of making and recording music. To download the multi-tracks recorded for this or any episode of Shaking Through, or to learn about Weathervane Music, the nonprofit that produces this series, you can follow the links on the screen or go to weathervanemusic.org.